Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to go over the Pocket series cameras. Now I hear them called the poor man's Arri Alexa a lot, but when I look up rig builds, I don't really see them building them out to be an Arri Alexa. I always see builds that are trying to emulate like a Red camera or something similar, and I don't understand that. Like, why would you try to emulate a Red when Arri is the superior camera? I don't know, maybe leave a comment down below if you have any reasons to why you would go one way or the other. But I never really seen anybody try to rig their camera out to be more like an Arri Alexa, so that's what I'm going to try to do in today's video. You could do this with like the Pocket 6K Pro. I'm going to be using the 4K in this video just because it's a little bit of a smaller form factor and I wanted to do more of a run and gun rig. If you wanted to see more of my studio setup, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because that's going to be coming in a later video. So let's get into it. So to start off, I'm using the Pocket 4K like I was saying, and I'm using a half cage. The reason I'm using a half cage is because I enjoy leaving the hand grip wide open and easy to access the buttons, and that comes into play later on, so I'll touch on that later. In order to get closer to the Arri Alexa Mini look, I do add a small cheese plate on top in order to get more space for more mounting points and kind of square out the body. The Pocket cameras are really wide and sometimes we want them to be a little bit longer, so that just helps with that. And so on top of that cheese plate, I mount a NATO rail. Attached to the NATO rail, I put a small rig top handle. And this is where we're gonna get closer to the Arri form factor. So on the side, you can see I mounted another NATO rail mounted kind of diagonally. And this is because this is where I mount my EVF. So if you noticed on all Arri cameras, they come with an EVF because that's how you control the camera. But more importantly, I think using an EVF gives you the ability to change your mindset while shooting. It's almost similar to what people say they experience when they go from using zoom lens to prime lenses. You're kind of more stuck in a certain world and it makes you think harder about the shots and angles that you're going to be capturing. So that's why I think adding a EVF to your rig could be very helpful. And so for this EVF, I'm adding the Portkeys Li series EVF. This one's a really nice EVF. It's lower budget, so there are some drawbacks, but I won't get into those in this video. However, one of those drawbacks is the fact that you don't mount it the same way you would most EVFs. Normally, you would use a Arri Rosette style mount. This one does not have one. And so in order to combat that, I ordered this little accessory and I just bolted it into the bottom of the EVF, and that solves my issue. How I attach this to the camera is this Condor Blue EVF mount. I recommend this mount 100%. It is so versatile. It gives you 360 degrees of rotation with zero downtime. And the best part is you can adjust it with one hand. Now this is clutch because when I'm out running and gunning, I don't always have two hands in order to adjust the EVF. But the more I shoot, the more I feel like a 7-inch monitor just becomes a little too cumbersome, especially when I am trying to not be noticed as much. I just enjoy using either the EVF or the built-in screen that comes with the camera. And now the reason why I won't be using the built-in screen is because of my next accessory. So the Pocket cameras don't come with the best of battery life, and honestly that's okay because I've already invested in a lot of V-mount batteries. The same way you would if you had an Arri Alexa Mini, you would already have external batteries to power the camera because those cameras don't come with built-in batteries. So in order to solve this issue, I kind of just put a couple pieces of tools together. This is highly inspired by something I seen DSLR video shooter do in one of his rig build videos, but I did mod it a little bit for myself. So the first part is going to be a cheese plate. It's the same cheese plate that I used on top of the camera, and bolted into that I have a V-mount battery plate. Now screwed into that at the top, I have a monitor mount, and that's from Small Rig, and bolted into the monitor mount I have a cold shoe adapter so that I could put this on any cold shoe mount and I can screw it down, and it's pretty stable. From what I found, cold shoes aren't the most stable mount, but for my use on this one, I'm only putting mini V-mount batteries on this. I have not had any issues whatsoever. And so when I mount this on the back of the camera, it does cover up the nice 5-inch screen. However, I find that I don't need to go into that menu or use the screen that often because of what I mentioned previously, is the fact that I have clear and open access to the hand grip, which also has a lot of custom function buttons. On the off chance that I do need to go into the touchscreen menu, that's why I do have the monitor mount, so I can just flip this out of the way. I can get into the screen, I can flip it back down and get straight back to shooting. But for the most part, the EVF and the hand grip is perfect enough, because when I look into the EVF and I adjust settings, I can see the update real time on the screen. So that's going to be most of what it takes in order to turn the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera into more of an Arri Alexa Mini form factor. But as we all know, there's more than the form factor that goes into what makes the Arri such a special camera. One of those things being the color science and highlight roll-off. So in order to tackle that, I use two LUTs. One of them is the Pocket to Alexa LUT, and then the other is the Buttery LUT. So what these LUTs do is they get you a little bit closer to the Arri look, and then also they give you a way better highlight roll-off. And so the reason why I use two of them is because I find the Pocket to Alexa LUT is very contrasty and looks amazing outdoors, but it gets a little bit darker indoors. So I tend to use the Buttery LUTs indoors because it's less contrasty and gives a more pleasant look to the eye. However, it's all subjective, so you guys can go online and see comparison videos and pick which one that you enjoy more. So the final way that I get closer to the Arri look with my pocket cameras is something I think a lot of people overlook. Now, these 4K cameras are pretty much standard today, but a lot of people don't realize that these Arri cameras have been used to shoot some of the most beautiful movies of the past decade. Don't shoot 4K, they only shoot 1080. So a lot of these cameras, you're gonna get an over sharpened look. And in order to bypass that, I go into the settings of the Blackmagics and I turn off any in-camera sharpening. But sometimes I need to go beyond that. If I'm shooting on like a clinically sharp lens, like the Sigma Art series, I will throw a Pro Mist on the lens. That's just gonna get you closer to the natural, beautiful, soft skin tones that the Arri Alexa gives you. But also, that's more of a subjective thing as well. So once again, do your due diligence, shoot the image that you personally like, because that's the only way you're gonna differentiate yourself as a cinematographer. So there you guys have it. Those are the 3 things that I do to turn my camera into an Arri Alexa Mini. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it down below. If you like what you saw, hit that thumbs up button. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.